Hi everybody, Chef Thomas from the University of Washington District Market. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a roasted acorn squash soup using all ingredients from the UW farm. So let's get started. So first what we're going to do is we're going to prep our acorn squash. So I'm going to cut the ends off here and here. Put that in my garbage bowl. Cut the acorn squash in half. Then grab that garbage bowl you got, and we're going to scoop out the seeds. So take your spoon, just go around the inside like that, and get all those seeds and all that pulp out of there. Just like so. We're going to do the same thing with the other half. Now, I'm only showing you one acorn squash. For this recipe, you're going to want to use at least 2 or 3. So there's the acorn squash done. Now, I've got some UW farm carrots that I'm going to just cut into little planks. So cut them in half short ways, then long ways, and put them cut side down onto your half sheet tray. Cut side down. The reason you want everything cut side down is because when this sheet tray gets hot, it's going to caramelize the squash and the carrots really nicely. And it's going to add some really lovely flavor to your soup. Alright, so cut side down on all these guys, like that. And then I've got just one onion. Cut the ends off. Garbage bowl. Cut your onion in half. Take off that outer peel. It'll come off. Put that in your garbage bowl. Do the same thing on this guy. There you go. Now we're just going to cut these into quarters. Put that on your sheet tray. Cut this one into quarters as well. Just like so. Gonna wipe my cutting board off real quick. So now we're gonna roast these with some of these lovely UW farm herbs. We've got some sage here, a little rosemary, and some thyme. All of these came from UW farm, lovingly grown by the people there. Smells incredible. So I'm gonna take about 5 or 6 of these sage leaves, about half this stalk of rosemary, and about 3 sprigs of thyme. And with your thyme, just take your fingers and run it down that stalk and get all those lovely leaves off. You don't want the stalks in there because they get really woody and tough and nobody really wants to eat that. So pick our thyme real fast. And then I'm just gonna run my knife through this real quickly. You can just get a real rough chop. Like so. Right through again. Just like that. Excuse me real quick, I'm gonna grab my oil here. So now I've got a little bit of olive oil. So I'm gonna take this olive oil and these herbs, sprinkle the herbs all over your veg, and then coat them in a little bit of this oil, just like that. I'm using olive oil. You can use any oil you like. Now, what you want to do is get these herbs nice and into this squash, and then face down. What this is going to do is going to help flavor the squash. It's going to, once you start roasting, these herbs are going to perfume this squash really nicely, so you get all that flavor throughout your whole soup. And then I'm just going to rub the carrots and onions around, make sure they're covered in herbs. Make sure everybody's cut side down. Now you're gonna roast this in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes at 425 degrees. You want it a nice hot oven. I'll set this aside, set my cutting board aside. And now through the magic of television, here is, I roasted this off earlier. So you can see you got some nice caramelization. Like this carrot was cut a little thin, so it may have gone a little too far, so we'll go ahead and discard that. but if you flip the squash over, the squash is nice and caramelized. All that is flavor. That's what it is. And you can see all those nice herbs in there. So to blend this, I've got some coconut milk that I heated up on the stove. When you're pureeing your soup, you want to make sure everything's nice and hot. So this is coconut milk that I heated up on the stove. To it, I added 3 cinnamon sticks and about 4 cardamom pods. So it just infuses that coconut milk with some more flavor. So what we're gonna do now is put everything in the blender. Go ahead and take your spoon and just scoop the skin out from the flesh out from the skin. Put that in the bottom of your blender. Now, you want everything to be warm or hot when you do this. This is gonna help your soup get nice and smooth. All those herbs in there. Just discard the skins because all you want is the flesh. This soup will be a nice starter course if you're doing like a progressive dinner. It can be soup for 2 if you like. It'll go really nicely with some nice crusty focaccia bread and a nice salad for a nice healthy, good for you dinner. Nice fall dinner. All right, so now I got all the squash in there. I'm gonna add our onions and carrots in there as well. And I'm trying to get as much of those herbs and that juice off of there as we can. Like that. Give my hands a real quick wash because they are stained yellow now. So there you've got your squash and your carrots and your onions and your herbs all in the blender. Don't forget when you are roasting your squash and your carrots and your onions, add a little bit of salt and pepper because that's going to be your opportunity to flavor this. So now I've got my hot coconut milk infused with cardamom and cinnamon. Just pour that over the top, nice and steamy. Now you're also going to want to have some hot water standing by because this could get a little thick and the hot water will help thin out your soup. So put your blender on. Heads up, this is going to be really loud, so I'm not going to be doing any talking for this part because you will not be able to hear me anyway because our commercial blender is serious. Every now and again, stop and take a look at your soup. So that is a little thicker than I would like for a soup. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of hot water to this just to thin it out, to make it a little more soup consistency. This is actually a really nice puree consistency right now. And a little bit of water. You can also add water while it's blending, if you can look into your blender and see what's happening. I'm going to add a little bit more water and let it keep going. Remember that coconut milk is thick and there's a lot of starch in your squash, so those two things combined are going to make your soup a little thicker. We got our soup to the nice smooth consistency that we want, but to make sure that it's nice and smooth and silky, I'm going to pass it through just a mesh sieve to get any possible big chunks out of there and to make it as nice and smooth as possible. I'm going to use the back of my spoon that I've been using through here and just kind of push it through. Give it a nice stir in there. Don't push too hard because then you'll push all those bits that you don't want in through. Just keep going and I'll show you when we get to the bottom of this how much is left in the bottom of stuff that you know, chunks, some of the fiber stuff from the squash, some of the little burny pieces from the onions and the carrots. All right. So see all that stuff that's kind of left in the bottom there? It's all those burny bits and things that are over caramelized, hard bits from the veg. So set this aside. I got my spoon. So as you can see, we've got a nice, creamy, smooth soup. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to make a poblano relish and a pumpkin seed gremolata, and then we'll put it all together. So watch the next one.